Welcome to Profile. I'm Paula Hersey, your host today, and I am going to tell you about a new university here on Cape Cod. It's not Bridgewater State University, it's the Open University of Wellfleet. And I have the founder with me today and the coordinator. Welcome, Rhoda. Welcome, Betsy.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. Thanks, Paula.
Thanks for coming all the way from Wellfleet.
It's very far.
It is very far. You have to make a plan and get a lunch and you know, find your way.
Right.
Exactly. Right. So the Open University of Wellfleet, when Betsy told me about this in another show that we did last week, I was fascinated by the concept of this. This is somewhat of a higher learning. It's an open university. So why don't you tell me just a little bit, what's an open university and why start this at this time in your life?
Okay, so it's an open university because anyone can sign up and take a course. One of our best students is taking all 6 courses this fall. She's very enthusiastic. And I started it because I had left Brown University, where I had taught for 20 years.
Okay.
And our legal residence was in Wellfleet. And I wondered if there were people like me who lived here year-round that I could connect with.
Ah.
And also because I felt very strongly that we were not really teaching anymore the legacy of history and culture, especially of the Outer Cape.
Okay.
And I was on a committee, a town committee in Wellfleet, that had the mission of bringing more excitement and business, actually, to Wellfleet in the shoulder season. And I thought, nobody's teaching academic courses. There are really a lot of studio courses, art history, for instance, art and writing, for example. Sure. But there were not academic courses such as I had taught all my life. Okay. And so I thought maybe this was an opening and I would just make this up. And I have a daughter who's a graphic designer, and she told me, if you have a logo, you exist. So I made a logo, and there it is.
Perfect.
Then I started it with, I didn't know Bets, but in the first times that I taught the courses, the first semester we had about 4 courses, and I taught every semester, and people started to come. And a lot of them were people who had also been very interested in the history and culture of the Outer Cape and wanted to expand their knowledge. And can I tell a story on you, how this happened? So Betsy took my course. I'd never met her. And I was complaining one day that the enrollment was staying pretty solid, but not as much as I would like. And I wasn't getting people offering to teach. Especially I wasn't getting someone to do a course on the Modernist House Trust. And Betsy spoke up and said, oh, well, I could do that. And before we knew it, we were great colleagues. And Betsy also said to me at one point, we need a website. And we made one, right?
Right, exactly.
So it is amazing to me that we are growing so well right now. This is the 6th semester.
The 6th semester,
the
really?
6th semester.
You guys are a hidden gem. You won't be after this show.
Oh,
well, that would be good. We love to encourage more enrollment.
Right.
And people are coming forward now to teach interesting courses for me and also sign up to take them.
That's just amazing. The concept of higher learning on the Cape is not lost here on the Cape. There's a lot of retired professors. They tend to be more on the lower Cape, though we have a few up in the Falmouth area, but they tend to gravitate from the Chatham on down, especially in the Wellfleet and Truro area. And as you said, we have a lot of instruction on pottery and photography and art, and you know, you want to learn how to paint. There's enough people shaking a paintbrush down there that you can take a course anywhere that you want. But for higher learning, to me, I think the concept is absolutely amazing. You're an entrepreneur after being in academia for years.
That is true. That is true.
And you're enjoying it.
I am really enjoying it, and I encourage other people to reinvent themselves, because I was first a high school English teacher, Then I got a PhD in my 30s, and I taught at Wheaton College and Brown University all my life. But I really wanted to divorce myself from institutions.
Right.
And I wanted to teach literature to enthusiastic older people or anyone who actually would not make me read student prose anymore.
So,
You burn out on student
right.
prose.
I just want to say something about the reinvention, because this time last year I never had done a website in my life. I never was a registrar, and I never taught a course. And here I am a year later, and we're doing 2 courses this fall on architecture and running a field trip as well that I'm doing. And so talk about reinvention. It's been wonderful for me, but it's been wonderful to have all these students that come and really appreciate what we do.
And, and the brain stretch. You think about it is, you know, when you start something new, I started beekeeping this past year, so I kind of get the concept that, you know, it really helps the brain continue to grow. You don't stop learning, you stop being curious.
Right.
And to stay learning, you need to stay curious.
It's very stimulating.
It's very stimulating. So Betsy, now you're involved. You're out there. You're kind of what we would call in a standard college a registrar. You're out there looking for people to take these courses, to schedule and things like that. Give us a typical, I kind of want to, I look at one of these literature courses, how do I get started at Open University of Wellfleet?
Well, I think the first thing to do is just go to our website, which is openuniversityofwellfleet.org.
Okay.
And it has all the information on there, and all the courses are listed right on that front page. You just click on the various pictures, and you can sign up. And it does give you information about the course, where it's meeting, the timing of it, that kind of thing. Okay. So it's very, very easy to sign up as long as you have your credit card.
Okay.
So we're delighted to take those registrations. The other thing I do want to mention is that our classes do fill up, especially those architecture courses, because we try to keep them at a smaller number, because part of a component of that class is that we do some house tours, so we can't really have large numbers of people. And in fact, we're doing a Frank Lloyd Wright field trip up to Manchester, New Hampshire to see the Zimmerman House. And right now we only have 5 spaces left because we're keeping it small because of the tour in the house. So those are the kinds of things that I suggest if you're at all interested to get online and sign up, right?
That's excellent, Beth.
That's amazing. And is there homework?
Oh.
There's reading.
There's reading?
There's reading.
Okay.
In my course.
Okay.
And actually in most courses, when I think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So reading and discussion, so you have the opportunity from your peers in your classes to all have a different take on what they've read?
That's right, exactly. Our method is actually a combination of mini lecture and directed discussions, which I've found to be really effective, because people come into class and they might not have been thinking about this particularly, and they might not really have an idea of the context for the reading. You know, you read something like The Salt House, which is one book that I'm teaching. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. On the Cape Cod Memoir course this fall. And, you know, people need a little bit of theory about what is a memoir, how is it different from an autobiography, what is the kind of tradition of it, and also themes that we want to bring out about Cape Cod. Okay. And so what I typically do is talk for maybe a half hour in a 2-hour class. Okay. And then I also send questions in advance to people so they can think about it while they're doing the reading. And then it's an open forum. You know, we sit in a circle, or as close to a circle as we can, and we just open it up. So it's directed in the sense that it's not going to be, for instance, in my course, it's not going to be a confessional. We're not going to be writing memoirs of our own, but we might play around with some of that. Okay. So that's what I encourage all of the people who teach for me to do.
So are you looking for people to teach?
Always. And new ideas.
And new ideas.
For example, recently we've had suggestions. We have a contact item on the website, and people have been suggesting courses they would love to see. For instance, somebody would like to have a course on Hans Hofmann. So I need to find someone who might teach that. And someone else suggested that we do something on the history of theater on Cape Cod, which we had once, but we have not done it again. And another person wants something to do with music. We tried a course called Going to the Opera in Wellfleet, which is off the Met transmissions, and it didn't fill, so we didn't do it.
Right.
So, but I think there is an audience for talking about music as well, but focused on Cape Cod.
And and I just want to also mention that we do have some partners as well that are very wonderful to us. We meet at the WAT, with Wellfleet Harbor Actors Theater.
Yep.
Some of our classes are there. The library, the Wellfleet Library, and the Wellfleet Preservation Hall as well.
Oh, the community
so
down
we
there
try
is
to keep
fantastic.
the classes are all obviously in Wellfleet too.
Okay.
But you know, now that it's during the shoulder season, we don't have to worry as much about traffic and that kind of thing.
That's true.
Correct.
And we have drawn students as far as I love saying this, Tokyo, Japan. There was a couple that was on sabbatical, but they came to my course, and that was really wonderful. Another woman came all the way from Duxbury for my modern architecture course. So we go Cape wide. It is a long ride, but there's you know, there's a lot of fun at the end.
Yeah, a long ride in context, people. I mean, you're driving from, you know, Dennis to Wellfleet with really not a whole lot of traffic on the shoulder season. Compare that from, you know, driving from Sandwich to Boston, you know, context.
No comparison.
No
But
comparison,
as I
right.
say, it's really open to everyone. It's not just a Wellfleet. We're based in Wellfleet, but it is all over. So.
I would love to see a course on the history of the railroad.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Because the
No one has said
railroad
that.
in the early days of the
good
Cape
idea.
brought
It
most
is.
of your artists and your culture here to the Cape, especially the Lower Cape. I mean, that rail trail, obviously you can ride it on your bicycle now, and there's some really neat history on that trail. But I would love to see, you know, somebody be able to kind of teach that, say, you know, here's all the things that happened because that rail came down here.
That is a sort of course that we would look for.
So
Do
there
you want
go,
to teach
Paul,
it?
There you go.
Do you want to teach it, Paul?
In your spare time, right?
Yeah.
Spare time, exactly. No, actually, I would like to enroll in that course because I would like to learn more about that.
And if any of our viewers are railroad experts and that interests them, please go to our website and let us know. We'd love to hear
Wouldn't that
about
be
that.
great, though?
Yeah, that's how these
Absolutely.
courses happen.
That's how they happen.
Right,
Fantastic.
right.
So you don't need to be from academia. You just need to be an expert in your
Need
subject.
to be passionate about your subject. And I speak with everybody who volunteers to teach a course and make sure that they know what the situation is. For example, next semester, we have Judith Blau coming to teach a course on participatory democracy and human rights using Wellfleet as an example. And she wrote this book. She's written many books. Another one we're doing in the spring is an environmental history of Cape Cod.
We're doing that in the
which
fall,
has just
actually.
been I'm sorry. See, we need the registrar.
Yeah,
Definitely.
in the fall.
In the fall, we are
It's
doing
now,
environmental history.
See, now I actually have somebody who is a planner at the Cape Cod Commission who is really literally trying to educate the Lower Cape on the fragile ecosystem, the erosion that's happening down there. She would love to take that course.
Will
I
you
guarantee
tell her
I'm
about
going to
it?
tell Callie about it.
Right.
I think she'd love that.
So we jump on opportunities, and the other thing I'd like to say is that we are entrepreneurial in the sense that Betsy came to me and said, we should have a field trip. I said, well, we don't have field trips. We've never done it. Betsy said, so what? We will do it. And she said, we'll just put it out there, see if people sign up.
Right.
And I am so pleased to say that they are
And this is
signing
the one
up.
up to
To
the.
Manchester, New Hampshire.
And if
on
it
November
works-
4th, and you know, go to
There's
the
only
website.
5 spots left.
Right.
What?
There's only 5 spots
Spots
left.
left? Yes, of this morning.
Didn't you say there might be more in the future?
We might be able to add another group on, but at this point, but please. Somebody emailed me and said, I'd never been to a Frank Lloyd Wright house. I'm so excited to sign up for this. So I think it's just, we're touching
mind
people
blown
with that.
when they get to one of his
And
houses.
this is actually a private tour as well. And we're even asked if there's anything special we want emphasized or whatever. So I think it's going to be really, really fun.
That's
So.
neat, and I think the whole theater, the history of the theater on the Cape
Yeah.
would be a great course as well, because some of the theaters here do go back into the late 1800s.
That's right. And then you've got Tennessee Williams, and you've got Eugene O'Neill, and Provincetown Players, and Watt, you know. And Wellfleet now has a second theater. I don't know if you know about that, which is in the harbor where Watt used to be.
The Julie Harris?
It's not the Julie Harris stage. It's in the Wellfleet Harbor. It's called, confusingly, Wellfleet Harbor Stage. So it sounds like
yep.
Watt, But this is, again, just how Watt began.
Right.
And I'm excited to see another kind of cultural event coming up just spontaneously.
This is amazing. You know, you think about, you know, people, I think, have perceptions of Cape Cod that after Labor Day, there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go. We kind of, you know, just start to, you know, gather nuts and hibernate kind of thing. But what I have found, and I've lived here, it'll be 30 years next year, is that the off season here is, in a word, enriching. There's so many people here year round now that will take the time to share what they know, whether it's an artist or a cultural organization. There's so much to kind of learn and do. So, you know, this concept of the open university, like I said, when Betsy and I were talking, I was like, that's wicked cool. I have to do a show on this so people know, because nobody knows.
Well, we're very grateful, because
maybe,
the publicity is a key thing for us, right?
Maybe you want to mention the other courses we're doing this fall.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we run these courses between October 1st, say, and Christmas time, and we ask our leaders to choose any 5 consecutive weekdays. So for instance, the first one is going to start with you on October 6th, Tuesdays, Charlie Zender and Frank Lloyd Wright. And I want to say, this is an original course. We don't think that we've had any course on Charles Zender before, but we're very lucky in that one of our advisory group is the daughter of a friend of Charlie Zender. And by the way, I happen to have a house that was built by Charlie Zender. So and this is a homegrown topic. And I think the first time anyone has tried to do this. Frank Lloyd Wright was a huge influence on Zender. And so we feel, you know, all of this is part of the legacy of the Outer Cape that was getting lost. People don't even maybe know about this. So that starts with Betsy and Grace Hopkins, who is on our advisory committee, on October 6th, Tuesday, October 6th, 5 weeks. Then our environmental history course kicks in on October 7th for 5 weeks. And I'm not saying where, so that people actually have to go to the website in order to, because it's a lot of detail. The third one is Contemporary Cape Cod Artists on Abstraction. Deborah Foreman has now published the 3rd in her trilogy of books on Cape Cod artists, and she has taught the portrait course with us. She's taught the landscape course with us, and now she's going to do the 3rd. She also taught the wonderful course on the Provincetown Art Colony, which we have down there as one of the books.
And I just want to jump in. I took this course last semester, and she even brings in the artists from the books. So it really comes alive for me. And I'm not that well versed in art, but I really learned an incredible amount on that course.
That's fantastic.
This is great. Then we have a course with Jeff Tash, who knows every detail of Wellfleet history. He's doing a course on Wellfleet history. Again, it's a repeat. He gets 20 or 25 people in his courses every time. And the selectmen take it. So he's really incredible. He has pictures. He works with the Historical Society in Wellfleet. Very dynamic guy. And then lastly, my course, which will be Cape Cod Memoirs. I've been working on this for 6 semesters, actually. Each semester I've offered a different course about Cape Cod writers. Once I did the Fine Art Work Center writers, and I'm trying to figure out if writing on Cape Cod is a different tradition and how it fits in to the national, after all, I am an English professor. So I always like to know how it fits with the American traditions, whether it's different. You know, one was called Creating a Home on Cape Cod. And I wondered if creating a home was different from creating a home anywhere else. And we talked about that a lot.
I think so.
And then,
I think so, but we
really
need to prove it.
There's one more course, the Introduction to Cape Cod Modernist Architecture. That's a repeat of a course I've done, and we've drawn a lot of people through that. And Peter McMahon, the head of Cape Cod Modern House Trust, comes and speaks, and we do a house tour as well, and some other surprises along the way. So,
that's
a
great,
and later in
great
November.
semester.
Yeah.
And then do you do another semester January through the spring?
Yes, it's more
Take a
like
break in the summer?
March 1st, because we find people have a hard time getting out in
Well,
January
us-
or February,
Yeah.
and we would have had to cancel a lot of things.
That's
so.
when we actually eat our nuts.
Yeah,
That we've gathered all
And a
fall.
lot of people go away, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
So we're going to try it. We're still experimenting with how to schedule these things,
Right.
but we're going to go March 1st to the end of May.
Okay.
This year we did one in June, and it was late. People
Right.
were already thinking summer.
Right.
So we already have about 8 or 9 courses in the spring, and that's going to be interesting too.
Sure.
And we are starting to think that we should actually go into a 2-track system where one group of courses would be about Cape Cod and the other would be where anyone else has a passion to teach. For instance, one of my advisory group wants to teach her topic, which is Virginia Woolf. So we thought, well, Virginia Woolf did write to the
Cape Cod,
lighthouse,
no, yeah,
but
yeah.
no connection to Cape Cod.
Right.
And so we're going to try and see if there's an interest there. And if so, we'll
Excellent.
open that up too.
What a fantastic endeavor. I'm so very impressed. It's the Open University of Wellfleet. You can find them on the web with a website by Betsy, openuniversityofwellfleet.org. You can get to them via email if you have any questions, openuniversityofwellfleet@gmail.com. All the information on the courses for this upcoming semester starting in October, correct? October, are going to be on the website. They can choose, they can read about the syllabus, what's happening, about some of the leaders and instructors that'll be there. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks for having us.
This was
we
really a
enjoyed it.
great resource for the Cape. And again, you stay young just by learning, right?
That is true. That is
Excellent. Thank you, Rhoda.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Paula.
Betsy.
Thanks, Paula.
I'm Paula Hersey, and this is Profile.